why you on my Netflix plan. And you still watch the same 2 shows. That's why you call me on my birthday.
Good.
That's why I still ain't changed my number. Of all these missed
How was your
calls,
weekend?
only one I miss.
It was good. Didn't do any work. Had my girl in town. So we had a couple events to go to. And yeah, Monday morning.
Nice.
How was your weekend?
I mean, full of lots of drinking.
Well, your wife is an alcoholic, so.
That's correct. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Specktators podcast. I got Packy here with me. I'm your host, Moe-T. So yeah.
New shit popping. We're in the brand new office space. If you guys have been paying attention on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff, at the top of the year, we moved into a new office space. So we're going to have, obviously, we got this podcast area, nice little studio here. We're going to set up a recording studio.
Yep.
Couple other mini recording studios within. We got all our merch here finally. The merchandise has been in Moe-T's crib for the last year, and now we actually have a space for it. But yeah, we're excited about it. It's coming along slowly but surely.
Yep. Just got done painting the main rooms, organizing the gear. We've been bullshitting on getting orders out. I got to do that today.
Yeah, sorry for that. It's because of the transition.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the album. The transition between moving everything from our crib. So as far as the Specktators Collective goes, everyone's been just working out of their own apartments and their own cribs. So like Cyrus has his own recording area at his place. I got my own at my place. Mo's got his own studio. Marcus does his own thing. And now, hopefully, the idea is we're going to have a place to all get together and collaborate and see each other more often and be able to create together. So
Yep.
that's the excitement of this space. Cool thing about it is it's actually, so for those of you that have been with us for a long time, like the Specktators Collective was named after the neighborhood we grew up in. And this office is actually in that neighborhood,
Yeah.
right on the outskirts. So it's kind of cool how shit comes full circle.
It's literally right on the outskirts of our childhood neighborhood.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. But, yep, we got rooms for everything now. We'll be a little bit more organized going forward. But, yeah. So, the newest thing that I'm sure everybody is looking at right now on your face is your braces.
What's good?
And I know on Twitter, like, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about whether or not this has been affecting the way that you record music. Has it?
It did. So to give the full story, in October, I was in a hoop league in the fall, and shout out Kojo. If any of you have been with us for a while, he used to DJ our shows around Michigan, and he asked me to hoop in this rec league, and actually 3/4 of the way through the season, I went into the paint where I don't normally go. I'm more of a 3-point sniper.
Wow.
Couldn't jump over a phone book. But I went in the paint and went up I didn't even go up for a rebound. This massive dude goes up for the rebound.
How massive was he?
He was for real massive. This isn't just a tall tale.
This guy has gotten progressively more massive.
No, you can ask the boys. They
bull.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was like, I'd say 250 pure muscle, about 6'4". He goes up for a rebound, and when he's going up, he like clears space like this, and I took an elbow right to the mouth, knocked one of my front teeth like directly back into my mouth, so it just like bent back, and of course I finished the game, balled out. It wasn't really like even bleeding; it was just bent.
Just knocked in.
Yeah, and it hurt
Did
like
it go like all the way in, or did it like bend?
it bent. And
Oh.
I think it moved a little. Like, so if this is my tooth, it like moved back a little and bent like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this was a Sunday. So next morning I go into the dentist. He sends me right across the hall to the orthodontist. They're like, all right, you have two options. You can either get braces and it should straighten out, or we can do surgery. And basically what they do with the surgery is just push the tooth back into place, like numb you up and push it back into place. And I was like, let's do the surgery. Like, I don't want to be in braces for X amount of time.
No.
Like, let's do the surgery. But he was like, nah, I don't really recommend that. I don't know if it'll cause more trauma, if it'll work. Like, it's a little more risky. And he's like, I would recommend the braces. And I was like, fine. So literally that day I walked out of there with braces. And but yeah, as far as the music goes, for a good couple months I had a little bit of a lisp. I think it's kind of going away now.
Do you feel like it's like
I feel like
the way you record?
Yeah, for the first couple months I couldn't.
Like what songs?
So the only songs, if you guys want to go back and listen, the only song that's out right now that I was like that I recorded where I really felt like I had the lisp was "We Know You in Real Life." So if you guys want to go back and listen to the S's and the ths and the stuff like that in that, I was self-conscious about that.
I didn't even really notice much in that.
But yeah, I think it's kind of gone away because it's not just like the braces; the tooth was all jacked up. So I think that was what was causing a little bit of the issue. But we battled through. We had songs stacked up, so I was able to keep releasing.
But that's
stuff.
the only song.
That's the only one out now.
You got
like probably the next couple that I put out will have been recorded that way as well. But real one works through it. Looking like a 12-year-old now.
Dope. Yeah. Well, I guess that explains that. But
yeah, I'm about to drop a Through the Wire remix coming soon.
So when are you scheduled to get them off?
April.
Had
them since October. Should get them off in April, just in time for the summertime.
Still a long ways away.
Yeah, but what can you do?
All right, I want to talk about this YouTube partner program hoopla.
Let's talk about
what's going on.
Yeah, I saw you tweet something last week. What did you tweet?
I tweeted.
Let's pull it up.
I tweeted something about I feel bad for brand new creators trying to get into the YouTube game because I feel like they're making it harder and harder for new YouTubers.
I feel bad for those smaller YouTube channels trying to make it. This hashtag YouTube partner program shit is so dumb. Explain yourself.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory.
Well, I guess for the listeners that don't know, explain a little bit of what the YouTube partner program, like what they're doing, why it's an issue.
Well, what are the details of that? I read it the other day, and it's so you have to have.
It used to be.
Let me look this up.
To be partnered in YouTube, which is how you make your money.
Right.
You have to have a partner, and it used to be, I think it was 10. You had to have 10,000 views on your channel.
Right.
To be partnered, and then you could start making money and monetizing your channel.
Is that what it was? 10,000.
Yeah, and I don't know if there was a sub.
Wait. Okay.
Limit.
Here. So. Blah 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 blah. 10,000 lifetime views.
Lifetime views, not in a certain amount of time.
Right. To 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time within the past 12 months.
Yeah, so it used to be you had to have 10,000 total views on your channel to be able to be monetized. Right. Now you have to have 4,000 watch hours. And that's in a 12-month span.
Right. So
and
4,000 watch hours. What's that in minutes? Because YouTube measures this stuff in minutes.
That would be what,
so,
2,400? I don't know. No,
yeah,
24,000. I mean minutes.
240,000 minutes.
240,000.
Yep.
So and you have to have 1,000 subs, which is a pretty big deal.
Right? But I feel like the watch time is what I have an issue with.
Okay.
Because newer YouTubers, it's tough to get people engaged long enough to be watching your videos, especially nowadays where a lot of the videos aren't like 3 minutes long, 4 minutes long. Like you have to like come out with content that's a little longer unless you're like a musician that you're just like posting songs. So it gets a little tough to get to that threshold.
Yeah,
And
240,000 minutes is a lot of minutes.
but I do agree with the other side of the equation as far as like, okay, it's weeding out the not so good content and all of I get all that, but at the same time you do have some YouTubers that have really good content but are caught like they're just beginning and they're not getting the funding that they could. And I know we're only talking about like cents here and but it does add up. Like pretty like
Well, let's talk about that.
$100 is like not.
Let's talk about that though, because $100 in what amount of time? A month?
Well, let's even say for the sake of argument a year or 6 months.
Okay,
That's probably better.
That's why I stand where I do on this. Like, I get the beef with the creators with YouTube here. Like, they're not standing with the small guy. They're making it harder for new channels to grow and get big, and I get that. But I don't really mind the changes because I forget what it said. I think it said 99% of the people that are affected by this, of the channels that are affected by this, as in when I say affected, I think they're referring to the channels that were monetized because of the old way they did it, and now they're not because they don't meet the new criteria.
Wait, so you're saying 1% of them are affected?
99% of, I didn't finish my stat, but it said 99% of the channels affected made less than $100 last year through YouTube. So 99%,
Okay.
like $100 in a year, I'm not trying to like scoff at it, but you're not, how much is that helping you grow your channel? $100 a year. Like you have another job, you were making money other ways.
It's not, but at the same time, it helps as far as like, I'm trying to put myself back into when we were like not doing, and the little bit of money, like think about it, like
I know.
$50 could buy you a mic.
Right, I get it.
And like that's kind of big as
But we're
far
talking
when you're just starting out.
But
Like
we're talking $50 in 6 months. Like you can go like take pop cans back and you can make that. Like find another
$50
in 6 months.
What if you don't drink pop?
Beer. Start drinking it. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to scoff at it because there's even a mental thing of like, okay, I want to be a YouTuber and I'm making some money off of it now and I'm going to keep making more and more, like as opposed to just grinding and never seeing anything from it. I get that. But because there's the other hand too of like,
but do you agree with this because it's weeding out all of those other people that are just kind of like,
it's not even so much weeding out, even though that's a factor of it. It's more just to me like, because it also, from what I read, it means more money for the YouTubers that are monetized because it's more centralized now. They're not sharing that revenue with so many channels. So like we have a pretty big YouTube channel. We have over 100,000 subscribers. We still don't like, we couldn't make a living off of our YouTube channel.
is that a fact? Like how much is that really affecting everything? Like that's more centralized now. Like
I'm not saying it's like gonna be like big money for big time creators
because we're
now.
not talking about a lot of views.
But
here.
if you if you want to
minutes,
but if you want to place this value on the $50 to $100 that these creators are making in a year, like you got to place the same value then on the amount more that these other people are gonna get now that are actually able to try to create a living off of it. I don't know. Like
I mean, okay.
I guess one thing, like a happy medium for me in this situation would maybe be, which they're not doing, and I don't know how feasible it would be, but to like grandfather in the people that were monetized under the old way of doing things. You know what I'm saying? If you're monetized, this happened January 16th.
Yeah.
If you were monetized last week, then even if you don't fit the new criteria, at least for the next like year maybe, or however long they set, you are still monetized. You don't just get wiped out because of the rule.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to do it.
But new channels that have never been monetized still have to.
Yeah, that's probably better, just because then the precedent is set when you're beginning a YouTube channel and you're not taken by surprise by the threshold that you need to obtain
Yeah.
by doing that. Because I do feel for the people that are like literally only counting on that money to, like, after the year's end, possibly purchase themselves a new microphone to do their podcast.
And that's where I get what you're saying is we've always been the type of like when we started doing the music and all that, we went to school, we had jobs, and any money we made off the music, which was never really anything, but when we did, it went back into the music. So I get the whole like small time creators, like, yeah, $100 isn't much, but that's what I use to put back into my craft. The other money I make, I use to live.
Right.
So I get that, and yeah, that would help.
Yeah, and some of it is on a smaller scale than what we're even used to, and like that's what, and maybe it is a hobby too. I'm not even saying that any of these people like do it for an actual living. All I'm saying is, in order to continue that hobby, that $50 helps.
Yeah. And I think the argument people make is that's how YouTube like got off the ground. They helped small time creators.
Well, right, yeah, 100%.
So they want like staying true, not selling out, and they want like to the big brands and things.
I mean, but then again, like we were like I started in YouTube before any of this monetization even became a thing.
Right.
Like, so it was just a fun thing, and that's why I get like the hobby aspect of it. But then YouTube set the precedent that they're going to let channels monetize. And then it set a precedent that you could potentially fund your hobby by doing that.
And now
but then you just take it away. Like, that's not, especially like, I like the grandfathered in thing because it's like, okay, these people were counting on that, so why cut off their funding right then? Yeah. But yeah, set the precedent that any new channel that comes in is going to have to go through that 4,000 whatever hours or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. So I was reading this the other day, and it made me think of you because I feel like we have this not argument but discussion all of the time. And it was on DJ Booth. This article about, do fans still want punchlines in 2018?
I saw that. I didn't read it right when it came up, but I just read it right before this.
So I feel like...
Did you read it?
Yeah, I read the whole
Shout out DJ Booth. They are one of the few blogs that I still pay attention to.
Yeah, for sure. And they have interesting shit like this a lot. That pertains to kind of a lot of the discussions that we have all the time trying to create music and do it in the best way to stay relevant today. And as being somebody that is older than you, but you were a punchline. You still are a punchline rapper like that. But in today's age, it has been kind of like compressed down to like not what it used to be, not what you used to be able to hear. And I get that some of it might be considered corny today.
Yeah.
But is that from lack of effort, or is that from like, because why was it ever cool? Like, I don't really understand.
This is something I battle in general with hip hop as the years go by, is I try to catch myself and be like, okay, when I was 16, 18, whatever, and whatever I was listening to was cool and it was the thing and it was the shit.
Right.
Then I'm 25, 26, like, and I start to think, oh, is this cool? Like, why isn't this cool anymore? Or like, you have to question, are things changing or are your tastes changing? So I think about that with a lot of stuff. Like, even artists, like Lil Wayne was on top of the world, like when I was in high school, college.
Right.
And now, like, you know, there's certain people that, you know, he gets hated on. Same type of thing with Eminem. Like, he was on top of the world. Now, like, he gets the hate. Like, do they suck now, or have your taste changed? I think that's a fair question on a lot of these things. The punchlines,
So what are you saying because we're older?
I'm just
That-
saying I question that type of thing a lot with hip hop. Like, your tastes change as you get older.
Yeah. But yeah.
But as far as the punchlines argument, like, yeah, I got into hip hop. I loved punchlines. Like, I loved, like, Common was like my favorite rapper when I first started.
Yeah.
Like, Atmosphere was dope. Like Gangstar, Talib, Mos Def. Like, I loved all those guys, and they were punchline heavy. Like Kanye even.
Right.
Eminem. They were punchline heavy, and when I started rapping, I was very much like that. Like, I was
Right.
I wanted bars, like searching for the metaphors, searching for the punchlines. Like, if a verse didn't have a bunch of those, then it was a shitty verse.
Right.
As I've gotten older, I don't go into it like that. Like, I still think I have in most of my songs, like, what would be considered like bars, you know?
Right.
But I even think, like, the definition of when someone says, ooh, bars, I feel like that's even changed a little bit. Like, I think now when someone just says something hard, it's like bars. Where it used to be, you had to be clever as shit to have
But I
bars.
guess that's what I miss though, is it's like, because to me, and maybe this is just because, maybe it's because my tastes are changing as I get older, and I don't necessarily like really appreciate like a hard bar. Like, what does that mean? Like, it's just a weird, like,
Do you say that when you listen to music?
no,
Ooh, that's a hard bar.
like I never even get that feeling though. Like, I never like I don't even remember when I was in college being like, ooh, that bar's hard. Like,
I hope not. Sounds like you're 7.
it's not, but that's not like a.
So, like, how do you feel about it now? Like, what do you, because I do think, I started off by saying I have to check myself sometimes and be like, are your tastes changing or is music changing? And I actually think, as far as the punchline thing goes, I do think music is changing. I think the popular rappers
Yeah.
now aren't. And
I don't
like,
think my tastes are changing.
I
like,
think-
with that, like,
Okay.
I think
you still
that-
appreciate the punchline.
Yes, and I still appreciate like the old way, not the old way because I'm not that old, but like the way that hip hop was when I was growing up. Not even growing up, when I was in high school and college.
Mm-hmm.
The way that hip hop was back then, it had punchlines,
Yeah.
and it was very much prevalent in hip hop.
Yeah,
like
oh, for
a lot
sure.
of people were forcing punchlines back then. Like, it
Yeah.
was like a thing. You had to have like a certain amount of punchlines in order for you to be considered legit.
Exactly.
Like, that was what hip hop was, and even the type of beats that were going on at that point in time were very boom bappy.
yeah, they featured that type of flow.
Right. Like, the rapper was the forefront of that.
The rapper was almost like the lead instrument.
Right.
Whereas now you can make a hit off a beat.
Right. That's what I miss. Is
Yeah.
like,
That's fair. Like, one of the funny things to do is go back, like, for all the Eminem fans, go back and listen to, like, if you like hip hop today, which I think most of us do, go back and listen to old Eminem hits.
yeah.
And then imagine him not on it and you heard the beat.
Right.
Would you be like, fire beat?
Right.
No. Even the Dre one, like, granted, they meshed well and it worked, obviously. Like, that's my shit. But some of those beats, like,
But by
sound so
some
weird
miracle,
and
by
corny,
some miracle it did.
but
Like,
his
that's-
voice was that, like, an instrument.
Right. But that's what I'm saying, is it's like, because like, you listen to those Dre beats that he gave Eminem, it's almost like a lot of them were throwaway beats.
Yeah.
And he just made them like
Yeah,
insanely good.
I know.
But that's the thing, because he was so talented. And I'm not even saying today, because this is an example of how, as I age, my tastes have changed. As far as like, I listen to Eminem now and I'm just kind of like, meh. Like, his content, like what
Yeah.
he's saying in the songs are like,
Okay, so
it's almost really like funny to me, instead of like more serious, how I took him back in the day.
yeah,
But I still turn him on for
you turn him on.
for the lyrical quality, like the punchlines, the fastness, the just straight up cleverness of how he like puts words together,
Yeah.
regardless of what he's saying. Like
when you
the
listen to
way that
Eminem
he
now,
structured something is like insane to me still today.
yeah. When you listen to Eminem now, you can tell that when he sits down to write a verse, he's looking for punchlines.
Now,
Yeah. Yeah, and
Right.
like most rappers today, no. And I
No.
feel like even that's how I am now. I used to sit down and look for punchlines when I wrote.
right.
I just write now, and when I think of something that fits cleverly, I use it. But I think that's what's important to me now with this punchline like battle. Are they important or not? To me, I don't like them I don't appreciate them as much as I used to. I think I don't even want to say that because I still appreciate a clever one used correctly. But I hate the forced ones. I hate them. So like,
Yeah.
I wrote down an example because I think obviously like new Eminem is he fits this argument well.
Yes.
And so I think the punchline has to go with the sentiment of what you're saying. Like you can't be talking about something super serious and then be like some corny ass funny bar just because the wordplay works. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like so this
Yeah.
is my example. This is both in the same song by Eminem. And it's the one. It's called like Home, I think, with Alicia Keys, and he's
Okay.
basically talking about like Trump and shit like that.
Okay.
And he says, "The pickle that we're in is hard to deal."
Mm.
And then like the next line, he's talking about like Charlottesville and stuff. I don't want to hear the pickle that we're in is hard to deal in a serious song, like talking about that type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's not even. That's why it's so forced. Is it's not even. I could see if you had some really dope, clever thing that fit there, and you were like, I know it doesn't really fit the mood, but I have to put this in here. The pickle that we're in is hard to deal. You don't have to put that in there. No one's appreciating that. Like,
No.
yeah, he's the god. But then,
But how as an artist do you even think when you're writing that needs to go in the song?
I can't imagine. I can't imagine doing that.
I can't imagine doing that either.
But
I don't even rap.
So then, okay, same song, like similar type of thing. It even like has to do with food, but I just think it fits because I don't know. It's either more clever or it just does not come across. Someone probably thinks this is corny, but I think this is rap. He says, and it rhymes more because I'm leaving out some of the early parts, but it says, and you just licked the plate off, so I guess it pays to feed off of chaos. So basically, you ate off Hitler. Like, so you ate off Hitler. And he's saying, like, you lick the plate off, you feed off chaos. So basically, you ate off Hitler.
Okay.
And, like, he's saying he is Adolf Hitler. Like, that's clever.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, like, that's rap to me. If you just take there's some people nowadays that are listening to all the mumble rap and all that stuff, which, like, I appreciate some of it. But if you're just listening to that shit and you think that line is corny, that's rap. Like, that's
Right.
hip hop.
Right.
If you take that out, like, it's not even anything to do with hip hop's roots anymore. Like,
No.
you have to be able to. I know he's talking about a serious topic, but you had to be able to use metaphors and be witty and shit like that. But that's the difference to me. Like, and it's hard to pinpoint sometimes why one comes off corny and the other doesn't. But some of
Right.
it is just how clever it is.
Right. No, I know, but I feel like none of that, like that Dill one, that was never. And maybe was it just because I'm young and I didn't really like know any better? But I don't ever remember feeling like a lot of punchlines were that cringeworthy.
I don't know. That's why I say it's hard to really go back and remember. I know there always have been corny punchlines.
Well, yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying like, why is it now when a rapper sets out to make to make a song and he wants to do a song with a lot of punchlines?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that it always has to be this like 50% cringeworthy, 50% not?
I think that's why. Because I think if you set out to make a song that has a bunch of punchlines,
But I feel like rappers were doing that back in the day though too, and it wasn't like that.
maybe, yeah. Like I never felt that way with all those guys I listed before. Not never. Like they've had some, but like rarely did
Right.
I feel that way.
Like I was even going back and listening to like Big Sean's mixtape, his first one,
Mm-hmm.
like
Finally famous.
Finally Famous. Like God, what's that song called?
Super Duper.
Yeah, dude. Nothing in that is like maybe like one or two very like
Yeah, there's
God.
probably a couple. Like if
but not like that. Not like Dill. Not like
yeah, not like Dill. He has one bar in that I still remember, and it's been years since I heard that song. But he says like because that was when he was doing the flow. Like he'd say the phrase and then he'd do the one word punchline.
Yeah.
And he was like the man up in the hood,
Yeah.
mechanical.
Right.
And I was like, that's bars.
Right.
That's clever as fuck.
Right. But that whole song was filled with, and I'm sure there was a couple of them that were just like, because I think there's a difference between questionable and cringeworthy.
But that's the thing. Like,
because
but if you heard the man up in the hood, mechanical,
yeah,
right now,
yeah,
I know some people are watching this right now being like, that's corny.
Why? I don't understand why that's corny. That might be questionable to some people.
You know what I think?
But I don't think that's
I'm
corny.
just thinking of this right now. I think this is a personal thing, but what really makes them work for me is the double entendre, the double meaning. And it isn't just like, I get like the pickle we're in is hard to dill is a double meaning, but the pickle and the dill has nothing to do with what you're trying to get across. So like when you say the like the other Eminem line I said with the Adolf Hitler, like he's using the Adolf because he's using all the like the food, licking his plate clean, and you feed off chaos. So he's using the off, so that works. Then he's actually, if he didn't have any bars in this, he would be like comparing Trump to Hitler or whatever. That works too. So boom, it's not forced. You have two things that came together well.
Right. Yeah. That's my point is like that to me, that's the type of line of the man up in the hood mechanical. Like, is it?
Because
why? Why is it not?
Because what is the mechanical like? I guess it kind of is like, I don't know. The mechanical has nothing to do with what he was saying. He's saying he's the man in the hood. Mechanical.
Yeah.
Like a mechanic working on a car in the
I
hood.
know.
But like, I don't know. That part has nothing to do with what he was saying. It's just a clever.
But to me, it's kind of like this. It's not like exactly the same. I'm saying that it could be perceived as kind of the same type of punchline.
I think most like you try to pinpoint this and it's hard to pinpoint, but I think most hip hop fans like in general you know a corny line when you hear one.
Yeah. But I still think that like I don't know. I'm trying to like pinpoint as to like what exactly my preference of all of that stuff is.
So what do you think? Not to like beat this topic to death. Like I don't know how long we've been talking about this, and we could just go in a circle. But this might be blasphemy to some people. I don't know. But when I was thinking about this, I was like, okay. To me, you have like we talked about obviously Eminem punchline.
Right.
I would say Big Sean is very much a punchline rapper, and I love Big Sean.
Okay.
Okay, so they're two big artists right now, big hip hop artists.
Okay.
I look at like, who do you think are the two biggest hip hop artists right now?
Drake and Kendrick.
Okay. They can both rap, right?
Right.
Okay. Who's a better rapper? Big Sean or Kendrick? And that's a tough question. Like maybe that's not even the fair question, but Kendrick is more widely known as just a I'm not even saying like
Kendrick to me is a better song maker.
Okay, that's where I'm going with this because
then
Kendrick, I'm not, like
Sean.
you could dissect it and be like, okay, who has the better bars, who whatever. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying like if you asked 100 people, who's a better rapper, Kendrick or Big Sean? You're probably gonna get more Kendrick because he's like just a bigger player in the game.
Yeah.
And so like, and you said Drake and Kendrick. If I compare them to Eminem and Big Sean right now, like they can write bars, Drake and Kendrick. They can. You've heard it before. But when you listen to their music, you hear more storytelling and
along with all of that stuff.
But sprinkled in.
Yeah.
Whereas when you listen to like an Eminem and Big Sean now, you hear a lot of like punchline.
But that's why I like Big Sean.
Yeah, and that's why I listen to him like for a change up too. But I prefer.
I feel Big Sean's underrated.
I do too. But I prefer Kendrick and Drake.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
because I like the storytelling and being immersed in a song and making you feel some type of way.
I might be the minority though, as far as like there are some points in time where I do prefer Big Sean over Kendrick
Yeah.
for certain things.
That's fair.
Like, I don't know. That there are certain times and certain projects even that I prefer the Big Sean as opposed to the Kendrick
Yeah.
albums.
I think what's more
Kendrick gets a little too like preachy perspective
Yeah.
for me, and those type of songs or albums or whatever, I'm not about.
Yeah. I can feel that.
But I feel like Big Sean
But at the s-
rarely does that. Like,
Right, but at the same time, when has Big Sean made you feel anything?
true. I'm not listening to Big Sean to feel
Right,
anything.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of preference, but yeah, I mean, I think we've beat this topic to death, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
punchlines are definitely, I think, less relevant. It's just a matter of whether you still like them or not. I do think they're less relevant, though, don't you?
Yeah, I guess I was just trying to get to the bottom of like why, like what has changed in hip hop to make them less relevant.
I mean, look at all
Is it just because we've literally ran out of punchlines and everything is corny
I think
now?
that's part of it. Like, you hear a lot of the same punchlines you've always heard. But also look at the rap that's popular now. Like, take those guys we just mentioned out of there. Like, you got Big Sean, Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole. But then take all the other popular rappers now. Uzi, like Tentacion,
yeah.
all these Kodak Black, like all these guys. It's a different type of rap.
Yeah.
Like Future. The Future was like the godfather of it, I feel like. And I like some of these songs, but not like I like these other guys.
So because those guys came into existence,
I'm not saying
like,
because. I'm just saying it's like, look at what people are enjoying now in hip hop.
and you don't think that they
It doesn't go hand in hand with punchlines.
like, what if old Eminem was new today?
That's a good question. I think that shit with Lil Wayne all the time. With Lil Wayne all the time, because if you go back and listen to some of his old shit that is classic,
Yeah.
there's similar stuff to what he's doing now. He didn't
No,
like
I know.
change up.
I know. But Lil Wayne is kind of like, I think Lil Wayne goes into the topic of how much is too much from a rapper, like when to retire, as far as like,
But this is another good. Go ahead. Let me finish your point.
because to me, I listened to Lil Wayne so much back in the day
He put out so much shit.
that,
He was featured on everything.
right, that I'm literally like not interested anymore. Like, I've heard
That's
it
fair.
all. I've heard it all from Lil Wayne. I don't know what more he could tell me at this point that I would be like,
Okay, back to the punchlines argument though. Like, I thought No Ceilings was a classic mixtape.
okay, yeah.
I bet if I went and listened to that today, and I was like, okay, pick out the corny punchlines.
I haven't listened to it in a long time.
I haven't either. That's why I can't even like think of anything off top. But I know how he was on his mixtapes. Like,
Right.
he had a lot of them, but he had so many that it was like, okay, that's a dope bar, that's a corny bar, you listened to his mixtape
Yeah.
for those things, and he had so many dope ones that you just lived with the corny ones. I think when it gets bad, and like when I even listen to some of the new Eminem stuff, is when it's like there aren't enough good ones. It's like, that's corny.
Yeah,
that's
and
corny. That's corny.
It's more corny than it's
Right,
not corny.
right.
Like, that's the biggest issue with me. I'll forgive if you got 15 dope punchlines in a song, or right, if you have 15 dope punchlines in a song and you only have like 3 weird ones,
yeah.
like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll forgive that, because that probably means that the song is pretty tolerable to listen to and I'm actually liking it because of those other 15 that you gave me.
Yeah.
But if like it's the opposite, which I've been feeling like with Eminem as to right now, then yeah, like I can't.
I agree.
But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I wish punchlines came back a little bit stronger than what they have been now.
I do too.
That's-
I do too,
that's
in the
my
sense that I
only-
want more rappers that can do it.
Yeah. Well, but I feel like it needs. That's what I miss though, as far as like to call yourself a rapper.
Yeah.
You had to.
I know.
You had to do that. You had to be creative enough to do that.
But that's the difference I'm saying is I want more rappers that can do it because I can't look at any of the guys out there that are popular now and say, like, I want more punchlines from you. Because I think the guys
True.
that do it well do it tastefully. Like, I like having the Big Sean, like, who does more of it. I like having the Drake, who can do it but doesn't do it as much. I like having the Kendrick, who's very cadence heavy.
Yeah.
I like having all that, and they can do punchlines, and they sprinkle them in. Other popular rappers right now, you can't give me bars that I'm gonna like, so I want you to just do what you're good at.
Yeah. Well, I'm even thinking of too, like, and this goes above punchlines, but the way that you're fashioning words and lines and rhymes and things like that, as far as the way that Eminem did it, the way that a lot of like old style MCs, Lil Wayne,
bent their words,
fashioned their lines. It was almost like they were meticulous as far as like you knew that they spent a shit ton of time constructing these 3 lines in this song and you felt it when they delivered it.
Yeah.
I don't get that anymore from anybody.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like it's just such stream of consciousness now that.
True. But I think that goes hand in hand with
like who writes anymore?
I've always hated that, but you get the rare exception like Jay-Z, you know.
Right.
But he doesn't write, but he can do it very well.
Yeah, but Jay-Z too, though, he was kind of the start of like, he had the punchlines, but he was very much so like swagger.
He was, but he had punchlines, though.
He did, but I wouldn't compare him to like a lot of the other guys that I was listening to back in the day. I listened to Jay-Z. You listened to Jay-Z for punchlines back in the day?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I didn't. I listened to Jay-Z for swagger.
He had beats.
He had hella beats.
Yeah, and he was good on his beats.
That's what I listened to Jay-Z for.
Yeah.
Like even you take Renegade with him and Eminem.
Yeah, but you put anyone up against Eminem.
No. But what I'm saying is, though, that was the definition of I liked both of those
for different
verses
reasons.
for different reasons. Like Jay-Z was the very much so I'm going to deliver this in like a strong, like I don't even know how to describe it. And then Eminem comes on and it's not delivered even close to what Jay-Z was doing. It's totally different rhyme scheme, totally different everything like that, but it's to his style. But it's crazy that it was both over the same beat.
Yeah. I think back to what you were saying with how many guys are writing these days and people are just getting in the booth and stream of consciousness type of rap.
Right.
I do think that goes a little bit hand in hand, though, with what is required from artists these days. Content. No, I know. Like, you can't just step in the booth and put out one album a year and nothing else.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think when that's required from you, like, I always write. I get jealous of the guys that can just step in the booth and create a song.
Right.
Like, I have to write, I'd rewrite, all that stuff. I'm jealous. Like, it's harder for me to come out with a song every week. Like, some of these guys, I always wonder if these guys are lying and it's messed up if they're not. When they go on these like radio interviews and they're like, yeah, so for the album we created like 900 songs and chose the best 12. I'm like, what? I haven't created 900 songs in my life, and you did it in 6 months?
Right.
Like, are they telling the truth?
And
I want to hear the 900th best song of those. What did that sound like? What did the worst song of that 900 sound
Is that real? Like, did they really create 900
That's what
songs?
I don't know. Like, everyone's process is so different.
What is the definition of creating a song?
Right.
Is it like...
I know. Is it some draft of like an idea
like
you
there's
had?
no way that you finished 900 songs.
Because my process is different. I'm not saying different in general. I'm saying from those guys. Like, if I sit down and I write a song, like, that song's pretty much coming out. Like, if I took the time to write down these verses and like I write 2 beats. I don't like.
Which is a luxury though of being an independent artist.
For sure. I write 2 beats. I don't like write a verse and then go match it to a beat.
Right.
So like I'll write down ideas throughout life and stuff, and then I'll go reference them when I write verses.
Right.
But yeah, and so like if I go write a song, that song is coming out. And so if I'm making an album, like everything I actually go record, Like, I don't just step in the booth and say, put a beat on and be like, let's see what comes out.
No.
Once in a while for a hook, maybe.
Right.
But I think that's how a lot of these guys just record, period. All right, throw a beat on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like it builds. I'm not saying they just go shit out the first thing they say. I'm saying
No.
they go and they just flow and they come up with ideas and they build and they chop it up and whatever.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm jealous of that, but those guys are winning today because of how much content is needed to be relevant.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably a lot of it, is how much content is needed to actually stay relevant
I mean,
today.
look when Future blew up and how big he got. Like, that dude works his ass off. Like, that dude makes songs all the time.
A lot of songs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't even think about it that way, but it does make sense as far as, I mean, in order to stay relevant in today's streaming age, like, you kind of have to, like, let go of the constantly fast, like,
Yeah. And people need to let go of the whole like in this argument, if you're like independent artist or whatever, well, like Drake can do it, Kendrick can do it, J. Cole can do it. Yeah. There's a select few at the top that can disappear for a year
this is
and come back.
this is a great topic, because I get okay, so artists all the time, I see on Twitter, I see everywhere, they're trying to do what another big time artist is doing as far as like coming out with songs, not even the style, but the way that they release certain things. It's like, okay, Eminem can come out with an album once a year because why? He's freaking Eminem, and everybody's going to listen to that shit regardless of what time of how long he's been away, how long he's like whatever, because he's already established himself as Eminem.
Yeah.
Same with like any of these guys. Kendrick, J. Cole, Drake, Chance the Rapper, even right now, like, he could come out with something anytime that he wanted and people would listen to that. But I get sick of artists being like independent artists that aren't even as close to that. And they keep saying like, I want to release like this my version of To Pimp a Butterfly. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like that, how do you think that that's even going to succeed, for one? Because you haven't even established your Good Kid, Mad City yet. So
Yeah.
what?
Unfortunately, yeah, you do have to
Like
have
in their
hits
heads,
before you can
in
do
their
it.
heads they have.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, this album was dope. I got 3,000 streams on it, and that's the most I've ever seen. And now all of a sudden I'm at Kendrick level in my head, and I want to do my To Pimp a Butterfly.
There's a reason things that work for artists that big work for them.
Right.
That you can't apply those tactics to being a smaller. And like anything like we're going to talk a lot on this podcast about independent artists and like do's and don'ts and our perspective. We've been in this for damn near a decade now. And I don't want anyone to get it twisted like we're preaching like we do. A lot of the perspective comes from mistakes we've made.
No, I know.
And like
we're
not perfect in this by any means.
No, and we're still making mistakes like that. But that's the thing, is like, I like making mistakes so that we learn from them, and we're signing artists now.
Right.
I don't want my artists to make the same mistakes
True.
that we made.
Yeah, exactly.
That's part of the reason why we have this label, is to stop those mistakes from happening.
Right.
But then again, the artist is boss in our label, so they are able
do what
to
they
pick.
want.
But I will make damn sure that they know what my opinion is.
Right.
So like that's the thing. But yeah, I mean, fans can say like they would rather have the album, like the big like release of the year or whatever. But you have to kind of realize that in the independent world, with the way that streaming is and the way that famous rap artists are today, we have to stay relevant constantly.
Yes.
And we don't have room to just be like, I'm going to take a year off and just put out an album and step back for another year. That can't happen.
Yeah. I've done it, and I look back and I'm like, that was a mistake.
Right. You get caught up in it.
And it's tough. Like, I'm not saying it's like I might do it again just because I can't I'm not inspired and I can't create the content. Doesn't mean it's good. Like you have to be inspired like that, but that's what an artist is. Like you had to be able to roll with that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's tough these days because there's so many. You have more outlets, you have more exposure as an independent artist, all those things. But yeah, there is a lot required from you if you want to be out there and relevant.
Yeah, for sure. And like that, I guess that's goes into why punchlines aren't a thing, is because honestly, you don't have time to construct tons of punchlines like you do, like you did back in the day. Like even the artists that we were listening to were releasing one mixtape a year back in that day. A mixtape a year. Yeah. Not an album, a mixtape.
And that goes back to what you were saying with Lil Wayne. You were like, I think I just got sick of him. I don't think he like started sucking. I think I just got sick of him. And like I even look at like myself, like there was a year where I dropped 3 mixtapes followed up by an album like the following, and then I look back and I'm like, and then I took a year off and I think that hurt, whatever. But it's like, damn, how much, like you have to be inspired by your life and things that happen, and if you had to live a little bit and be inspired by things. So it's tough to find the healthy balance for sure.
Yeah.
That's why
you have to find the balance, but
that's why it's harder for the rappers that actually talk about shit.
Right.
Because if you can just go in the booth and shit out a verse, well, you can do that anytime you want.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, the turn up verses and everything like that don't take as much time as like the stands of the world or like those type of songs. Like that song doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've probably talked about this for way too long.
We're new to, hey, by the way, I don't even think we stated. Like, this is the first podcast we've ever done.
Yep.
We're going to do it every Monday from here on out. That's the plan.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even get into that.
Yep.
We got to, So, the Spectators podcast every Monday around, like, in the afternoon at some point.
Yep.
I'm not going to put an actual time on it because...
Maybe eventually we'll be able to do an exact time. But
Once we get the process down, I feel like we'll be able to put a little bit more of a time on it. But until then, just know it'll come in the afternoon on Monday.
Yep. At
some point.
But yeah, bear with us. This is our first one. I don't know if this is sucking right now or not. Like, we're just talking, shooting the shit. So hopefully you guys enjoy this type of thing and we can keep it rolling. But yeah, bear with us. If not, we'll get better.
So maybe this is a good segue into because I know you were talking to me about how it irritates you to when artists hit you up to feature on a song.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying is to email me saying feature ? Price ? is not the best way to do it.
Right. Like, okay. And this goes out to like small time artists, obviously, you know, and also when you're reaching out to someone that you don't have a relationship with already. Right. Like, obviously, if you guys are homies or like you know them pretty well, you can do whatever you want. Like, you know the relationship better than anyone else. But if you're reaching out to someone you don't really know, especially if they're a bigger artist than you, and you have to be real with yourself. You have to assess the situation and be like, okay, if I get a verse from this guy or girl, does it do anything for him? Does it help him in any way?
True. You have to think about who you're hitting
And
up.
if you say, oh yeah, like a couple of my homies will hear the song. No, that doesn't cut it. Like, do you have a fan base that this guy can tap into? Like anything. If the answer is no, which a lot of times as a small artist it is, I'm still there. I've been there. I'm still there with like.
Well, you've done a lot of features with guys that are smaller than you.
And bigger. Like that's
what I'm saying. There's been a balance.
Yeah, you had to assess the situation.
Right.
And if the answer to the first question of what does it do for them is nothing or virtually nothing, then you have to talk money.
Right.
If the answer to the first question is, yeah, they get a lot of exposure, like I have a big fan base, blah, 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 then maybe you don't have to throw money out there right away. Maybe you can pitch them with the fan base. But you know what you have to do no matter what? You have to actually pitch them.
Right.
You can't just slide into someone's DMs or email and be like, collab.
Right.
Especially if it gets nothing from them. Like, so if I slid into Big Sean's DM and said collab, it's going to be nothing. Now, yeah, if I slid in on somebody that doesn't really have a fan base because I do and they're a small-time artist and I said that, yeah, that's going to work. But that's why you have to assess the situation.
Right.
Okay, next step. I'm going to go forward assuming that I'm a bigger artist than you.
Okay.
And you're pitching me on wanting a feature from me.
Right.
So include the song you want me on, because I'm not just going to be like, yeah, word, and then you end up sending me a shitty song. So include the song.
Yep.
Ideally, do the work.
Attach the
do
song
your work.
to the email
attach
is
the
what
song
you're
to
saying.
the email. Yeah.
Or a link to like a private SoundCloud
Yes.
thing or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ideally, you have done the work ahead of time and you have created a song with your verse and hook, and you leave an empty 16 or whatever you want from me, and you be like, yo, do you want to hop in on this and give me your pitch as far as like, what is this going to do for me? Why would I hop on this with you? Like,
Right.
no one's out here, if they don't know you, no one's out here trying to just do you favors.
Right.
That's how you got to look at it. Like you got to earn everything. And if you are just a fan of a guy and you want him on your song and you know he's bigger or whatever, then you got to come up with a number that you think makes it worth his while,
Well,
money-wise, to get him to do the verse.
and here's an inside perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I see a lot of these emails come through for you too. And not to mention, I see them come through for Cyrus and Marcus and all of our artists.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that I feel like artists are missing when they're hitting up a artist that is bigger than them to do a feature is you need to make it as easy as possible for them to say yes.
Yeah.
You should not be asking about how much the feature is or any of that. All of those details can be figured out later. The biggest thing that's going to decide whether or not that artist gets on that song is whether or not they like the damn song.
True.
That's the biggest. That's because the thing is, if they don't like the song, none of this is going to like, it's going to be different if the artist is bigger than you. But
Right.
if the artist is smaller and you don't like the song,
Yeah.
the likelihood of you getting on that song is very,
zero.
very slim.
It's zero. Yeah. Unless you're just paying me an exorbitant amount.
Or
of money.
unless you're like best friends. or
I'll sell
whatever,
out for a
like-
certain amount of money. There's a number.
Yeah. Well,
I'll get on. I'll get
No,
on.
no, no.
I'll get on a shitty song for a
Right.
certain amount of money. But
But
it's gonna be a lot.
normally a small time artist is not going
Right,
to
I
be
know.
able to afford that cost.
But
So-
you made it. Go ahead.
No. But all I'm saying is the bottom line is I should never get an email from a smaller artist than you or Cyrus or anybody and them ask like, hey, I want to collab with Packy. How much does he charge? And that's the email.
Right.
Because bottom line is I look you up and if you don't pique my interest at all,
Mm-hmm.
that email is done. I'm not even, and that's not even to be a dick.
And from a
That's
business perspective, it isn't like you don't pique my interest, as in like I didn't go peep your SoundCloud if you didn't include something in there. I just went and saw, do you have fans? Are you a big artist?
But I'm not even going to do that. Even if you include the link, peep my SoundCloud.
No, I know. I'm
Do you
I know.
think-
I'm not going to do it.
Do you think I have 20 minutes to kill to peep your SoundCloud?
Right. I'm saying all you're going to do is look to see what type of reach they have.
Right. Exactly. I'm looking at your Twitter, and if I can't find it right away or I see you have like 3 followers, we are done.
And you also make a good point with another reason why how much do you charge for a feature is a bad question, because any artist that has built a certain fan base gets hit up for features a fair amount.
Right.
So,
And it's not always about the money either.
no. But if you just reach out and say, you might have all the best intentions. Let's say you're willing to pay 10 grand for a feature, but was that a knock on the door?
No.
But you're willing to pay 10 grand for a feature, but you just reach out saying how much for a feature.
Right.
You're not going to get anywhere. But if you reach out and say, even if you're willing to pay 10 grand, but you reach out and say, hey, I want to give Packy $2,000 to do this feature. If $2,000 is in the ballpark, then we might respond to the email and be like, okay, word, what's
Yeah.
good? Or like, what
Yeah.
about 3? You have to have something to pique the interest. So
include your budget.
you have to go out on the
It's not about our budget.
exactly. You have to go out on the limb and throw a number out there.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll see if it makes sense.
Yeah. No, it should be about your budget, because I'm not going to go over numbers with you and every. That's
because
just
it's not worth our time, because some people,
because you're smaller.
and there's countless artists that their budget is like $200. So it's not worth my time to respond to all these emails and be like, oh yeah, here's a and the other thing is the price is different depending on who you are.
Right.
Like I said, if you bring nothing to the table for me, the price is higher than if you bring a little something to the table.
Yes.
So it isn't just a simple question of what do you charge for a feature.
Right.
I don't even know if I've charged the same amount for any 2 features I've done. Like, it's different for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's never really like a flat rate.
Or if the song's dope, you work with the budget a little
But that's
more.
what I'm saying is like that entices an artist.
Mm-hmm.
If they like your song and you're smaller than them, but they still like your song, that's more enticing than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys can talk about numbers and everything like that after that point.
Right.
But it probably is even better for you to just be like, I can afford this much to get you on this song.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
If you get an email back, that means they were interested.
Right.
If you don't, then that number wasn't high enough.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
For the most part.
Right. And definitely, that's the thing, like definitely opt for the higher number to entice the artist that you're trying to work with.
Yeah, don't send out the email and you don't get anything back and then thinking yourself, man, I should have gone higher.
Right. You should
If you
never
can go higher.
You should never put yourself into that position.
Right.
Make sure that you sit down, talk to whoever your team is or whatever. And if it's only you, then it's only you. But just make sure that you do your research and you see, because you can find out too, like if you do enough research on Google, you can figure out what a typical person makes feature-wise or show-wise. You can even go off of that kind of stuff to even feel it out as far as what a fair figure would be for that.
So much just goes to the bottom line of you do the work.
Right.
And make it as easy as possible for this person that you want a quote-unquote favor, if you're a smaller artist, from, you do the work then. You do the research to find out what would make sense for them.
Make it easy for them to say yes or no.
Exactly. You
Instead of
sending a message that says collab ? Is zero work on your part.
If I get the vibe that this is going to turn into a 5 or 6 thread email, then I lost interest already.
Yep, that's true. That's a good point.
So yeah, the easier, the SoundCloud link, even better the figure that you can pay, what your budget is exactly.
Yeah, so I think the ideal email
is link, budget, and
leave an open verse.
Leave an open verse. And
So yeah, because that's the other thing that's happened. Oh, I sent a link. I had a link for the song.
yeah, you need to record it.
But
first.
this is just a rough copy. The hook's not done. The second verse isn't done.
Right.
Like, so I give you this verse and I end up hearing the song and it's totally different.
or
than
just the beat. Like
Right.
I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what
you're doing
the
on it.
artist,
Yeah.
what the direction that you're going with this is.
And like I said, this is all for young up and coming artists that don't really have a fan base to lean on
Right.
or platform to lean on yet. Because like, yeah, if you're a somewhat known artist that someone can research and like just trust, okay, this is the type of song they make. Like
right.
I'm gonna just like, they can send me a beat and I trust that they're not gonna do an awful job on it and make this song terrible.
Yep.
And so yeah, you have to humble yourself a little bit.
Yeah. And you have to work as far as doing the research beforehand.
Right.
And having a good song to begin with.
Right. Trust me, I speak from experience. I've gotten shot down on feature requests. I've had them work. I've been on the other end of them. Like this is all speaking from experience. I'm
Right.
just trying to give you some advice.
Right. Right. Yeah. All right. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
That's all you got? How long have we been talking?
I think we got like an hour in, a little bit over an hour.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any like topics that I want to talk about, but for sure, especially this being the first podcast, this is something we're going to do every week. So if you're interested, make sure you subscribe.
Yep.
We said Monday afternoons. Leave comments, whether it be like, so we're going to put this on YouTube, and like Apple Podcasts.
Yep. We're going to try to get all that up and running as soon as we put this, because obviously we're more in charge of our YouTube channel than anything else. I have never put anything on any of these other podcast things. and we're about to find out how that goes today.
Right.
So if it's not up right when the YouTube goes up, just keep in mind that it will be up eventually.
And as we start doing this more, it'll
be a little bit more efficient
right.
as far as that goes. But yeah, forgive any glitches or anything like that with this first one. But yeah, we'll get progressively better at this as we go on.
I hope so. But yeah, subscribe, leave comments.
Yes.
I know with the like those of you that obviously just know us from the music and the Spectators, that the label that we've created. I'm like, yeah, we're not always on YouTube like active responding to comments and stuff like that. As far as this podcast goes, we're going to be interested to know what you guys like, what you want to hear.
Yep.
And
comment on the video, but also we both are most active on Twitter too.
yeah.
So if you follow Packy Raps or Moe_T, then we'll be more likely to respond to any of your
Probably, yeah.
comments
Twitter
or
and
whatever.
Instagram are good.
Right.
YouTube comments are fine. Like,
Yep.
But yeah.
But anywhere, any feedback is better than none.
Yeah, we
So-
want to know what you guys want to hear us talk about. Eventually, we'll have guests on here.
Yep. We'll have guests. We'll get our artists on here.
Mhm.
Any other like, I mean, there's really no limit to who we can have on here. So,
Well, there's definitely a limit, but not gonna have Drake sitting over here.
Is
But
that- hey, if he wants to come on here,
Drake, Aubrey.
But yeah, so stay tuned for all that, and every week Monday,
Yep.
the Spec Podcast. So the Spectators Podcast.
The Spectators podcast. That's what we're gonna go with.
The Spectators Podcast.
Real fancy.
All right, what do we fading this out to, Packy?
We're gonna give you a little sneak peek of my new song coming out this Friday. It's called Never Know. Bye-bye.
Yeah. One for the money, two for the show. Keep it on the low, homie, you would never know. One for the money, two for the show. Keep it on the low, homie, you would never know. Shit I had to do for dough. Now I feel like DMX, boy, I get it on the flow. This a diamond in the rough, this is not just how it goes. Jimmy Butler in the gym, I ain't going back to broke. Man, it started as a dream, it won't finish till I'm go. For the money or the glory, I can't choose, I want them both. Put them stunner shades on, I'm about to get all the way glowed up. Don't it make you sick to watch them hands get throwed up? One for the money, two for the show. Keep it on the low, homie, you would never know. One for the money, two for the show. Keep it on the low, homie, you would never. Go to where I went, see the boy I was, be the man I am. You been out of touch, I'm the one that make the needle move. Stripes on me like Adidas shoes, stripes on me like